let's reflect first of all on the press conference that we just had. Obviously, you're bringing this massive Paul Daley and Rory MacDonald fight to London.
Sure.
But the majority of the questions from the media are all about Page and Daley. I'm assuming you would have expected that coming in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, there's a time and place for everything. Rory MacDonald fighting, Paul Daley. Come on, that could be a fight anywhere in the world, man. We would love to have that fight in Canada. I would love to have that fight in San Jose. But we thought it would be appropriate here, and Paul wanted to fight a big fight in his hometown, and something that he could eventually get to the title, because he wants to get back and fight Lima. That's really what he wants. And so I said, well, you got to fight Rory then. And he said, okay, I'll do it. But listen, Paul Daley's not afraid of anybody. MVP's not afraid of anybody. Let's be real. These guys are fighters. So my thing is, we do 28 fights a year. Let that fight simmer a little bit. Let's build that fight up, and then we'll promote it. But I mean, I think you'll see it within the next year or so.
I don't think anyone here is complaining at all that you're bringing Rory and Paul to London whatsoever.
Right.
But in your thinking, why not take it to Canada? Why not perhaps hold it in the US? Why was London the right choice for this particular fight?
I think it's we thought about the implications of our schedule, right, and trying to move things around, and we were talking to a venue in Canada to maybe do a fight there, but Wembley was available. We wanted to do a big fight on Channel 5. This is going to be on prime time Friday night, Channel 5. So it's going to air, throughout the country, and that's something that's really important to us because, as you know, Viacom owns Channel 5, and so Viacom owns Bellator. So it just made a lot of sense on a lot of different levels. So I feel really good about it, and to me, it's something that we're really a lot of fun to watch, man. Because when I signed Rory, I told Rich, he's got to fight Paul Daley, man. That's the fight that I want to see. That's the fight the fans want to see. So here we go. We're doing it right here in the UK, and I think people are gonna love it.
What was Rory's reaction when you presented him with the option of fighting Daley?
I think that he knew that Rory knows that the 170-pound weight class is probably one of the toughest in our company, maybe the toughest in our company. So there's a lot of killers out there, and he's a killer too. So, to me, I think he said, this is my job. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do it. And he also wants to get to the title. He wants to go fight Lima at some point. So now he has the pathway to get him there, and just Paul's in his way. So it's going to be a great fight on May 19th.
And that's absolutely sort of nailed in stone, so to speak. The winner of that fight will fight for the title next.
Yes, and the thing is, you could have injuries or stuff happens in the sport, right? But if all things work out, the winner will fight Douglas Lima sometime before the end of the year.
You had the show in London last year. Paul Daley headlined that one, and MVP obviously stole the show with that knockout and the Pokemon celebration. What were your big takeaways from that event that will help enhance the show even more second time around this year?
Yeah, I mean, when we made the initiative to travel internationally and to really start building an international business, this is one of the first stops that we came, and we had a lot of support from Channel 5 and Spike UK, and our product is broadcast here. But there's, it was like one of our first early shows, so I think there's definitely some hiccups that we've cleaned up. But now, doing 7, 8, maybe 9 international events. We have a team that's dedicated to making sure that we don't have the same hiccups like we did last year. And I think that you'll see a fight card that from top to bottom was going to be something that the local fans will want to see, as well as the fans internationally will want to see. And that's really what I think Bellator. I mean, look at what we're delivering. We had the Tito Chell fight, but Paul versus Brendan Ward, right? I mean, that was 2 million people watching that in the United States alone. And then coming up this weekend, Fedor fighting Mamitrio, Rampage Jackson fighting King Mo. Then we go right into Rory MacDonald fighting, Paul Daley. I mean, I feel really good about our roster, and it's going to continue to grow. I feel really good about where we're headed, and this is going to be a lot of fun this year. We're going to have a lot of good fights.
Talk about growing the roster. Obviously, you've made it very clear that you're in the market to grow that roster with free agent signings. There's been some relatively high-profile names who the contracts haven't been renewed by the UFC. Ryan Bader's obviously a very well-known name that the discussions have been documented. It's people like Misha Serkinov and Lorenz Larkin, people like that. Are these the sort of people you're looking to bring to Bellator? Are you able to give us any insight on any developments with those guys?
I can tell you this right now. Lorenz Larkin is somebody that we're talking to right now, and I love Lorenz. I mean, I love his fighting style, and put him right in the mix at 170. I mean, you know, it makes a lot of sense. But you know, we're continuing talking. Hopefully, we could get something done with them, because we'd love to have them on our roster.
And the free agent to fighters as well. I know you've picked up some free agent executives as well along the line. One high-profile departure from the UFC is their play-by-play guy, Mike Goldberg. Is he somebody that you're potentially interested in bringing into the Bellator fold?
He's somebody that we're talking to, but and I'm not sure that it's like what's going to happen there. But I know that Goldie reached out, but we have a great play-by-play guy right now in Sean Grande, and but I know that there's a few dates that Sean can't do, because he also has commitments with basketball and the Celtics. So, I think that Goldie might be a guy that could come in and take some of those dates. But really, it's going to be, I think, based on Sean's schedule and his basketball schedule. But it'd be great. Wouldn't it be great to see Goldie and our guy Jimmy and Chael? I mean, that would be a nice little play-by-play and color commentary team. But like I said, Sean Grande is our guy. He's great, and him and Jimmy and Chael have been a lot of fun to listen to as well. So but that's going to be, I think, timing on dates and availability of Sean Grande.
Are you close to signing Ryan Bader?
We sent in an offer, and we're waiting to see if the UFC is going to match. That's where it's at.
And regarding the 7 to 9 international markets that you're going to be holding events in 2017, you've already announced Italy, obviously the UK, Ireland, Hungary. What other countries can we expect you to break into this year?
We're definitely going to go to South America at some point. So whether it's Brazil or Argentina, we're going to go down to South America and do something really big. So it's the fight that I have in mind. I think will be spectacular, and I think that those two territories make a lot of sense.
Scott, just interested to get your take. There seems to be a lot of chatter online as to the recent bouts and them actually not being for real. When you read, when you see, when you hear that, what goes through your mind?
I mean, it's just absolutely rubbish, honestly, and it's insulting as a promoter for 31 years has been in the sport, and I look back and I'm like, who is making the accusation? It's a UFC commentator or a UFC fighter or somebody that belongs to another league, and they're just trying to throw stones. I mean, to me, it's like, look, even Dana came out and said, there's no way that was. I mean, Tito Ortiz is a strong guy, caught Chael in a position where he tapped him out, and that's it. So why start throwing rocks and stones? And to me, it's like, look, I feel like this. If you're gonna make accusations like that, then you better have something to back it up. And if you don't, go talk to Viacom Legal, because that's where it's at my point. You're gonna make accusations, and to me, it's you're insulting our integrity of our league, and you're insulting my integrity as a fight promoter for 31 years. I mean, we could lose our license. I mean, are we gonna? That's ridiculous. So to me, it's like, you're crossing the line at some point, and I've already turned over to Viacom Legal to handle it, so we'll go from there.
And who was actually conspicuous by his absence today was James Gallagher. I take it that he will be on the card. I know he's matched already for a forthcoming card, but I take it he will be on the London leg of Bellator.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. He might be fighting somewhere else, so we'll see. But we will be back here in a couple weeks. We'll have something to announce, and hopefully Rory can join us in a couple weeks, because this fight got put together pretty quickly. So we couldn't get Rory here in time, but I think we'll have a really good matchup. We'll have all the fighters here, and we'll do a nice luncheon for you guys again, and we'll have all the fighters for you guys to come talk to.
One question on Viacom and Spike. I read a report this morning that Spike is going to rebrand and in about a year or so be known as the Paramount Network.
Right.
Does that affect you guys in any way, whether it's in the US or internationally?
I mean, I'm not sure how it's going to work internationally, like if they're going to keep Spike but we are going to be a fight product, Bellator MMA, on Paramount Networks. So they're just changing the name, but we're still going to do our fights there, and I think that they're excited about the name change, and they're excited about having Bellator on the network.
Just a question in sort of general terms. Obviously, you're very well known from building up Strikeforce into the huge success that it was. How much is this sort of mirroring that success, and how rewarding is it for you to be able to pick up a brand like Bellator and start to grow it once again, much like you did with Strikeforce?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, because really it's really what drives me every day. Because when we sold Strikeforce, I had a partner, and I think it's known that was something that they wanted to do, and I really didn't want to do it that much, but it's either we were going to sell or I was going to end up in a bad marriage, so to speak, right? So it is what it is, but I think things work out how they're supposed to work out, and I call Bellator in my mind Strikeforce 2.0, right? And every day when I wake up, I feel like there's unfinished business with how far I could have took Strikeforce, right? And that's really what motivates me to drive this company, because now I have more resources than ever. Think about it. We have networks all over the world. I have a backing of a company that is a worldwide media mogul, conglomerate, and so you put all that together with the know-how of how to promote and how to put on the big fights and the big shows. I think the free agency is going to continue. I think we're going to attract more free agents, and I think that we're going to expand in more television markets, and I think that we're going to grow our fighter roster from the bottom up. I mean, how we've built this company is exactly how we built Strikeforce, right? But with a lot more support, a lot more help, and Viacom's been amazing. Been so supportive, and I think that Kevin Kay from Spike TV does not get enough credit, because if it wasn't for him, and I was on the outside looking in at that time. I was working actually with K1 at that time, so I was in the kickboxing industry. I wasn't involved in MMA at all. It wasn't even legal in California at that time. So I was on the outside looking in, and Kevin Kay was the guy that said, you know what, we're going to give the UFC a shot to be on Spike. If that didn't happen, and I know that Lorenzo and UFC did their part, but if that didn't happen, where would we might not all be here talking right now, and Kevin was the guy that said, okay, we're going to take a risk and put you on. And yeah, did it work out for both parties? And yeah, of course, absolutely, but it was Kevin Kay from Spike that said, we'll do it. And at that time, that was a time when no one had MMA on TV. Think about that. It wasn't that long ago. Now, since then, Showtime aired it with Strikeforce and CBS and NBC now, and then Fox. I mean, everybody has MMA, but that was in the time where nobody had MMA. And Kevin Kay said, all right, we'll give it a shot. And, I give him the credit and the respect. And historically, when the history books come out, I think that, that should be noted, that he was the gentleman that really, and he loves MMA. I mean, this is a guy that's emailing me 2 a.m. Hey, did you see this article? Did you see that? Did you see that? I'm like, he's really into it, man. I mean, he's the president of a network. Now he's the president of 3 networks. He's run Country Music Channel and TV Land, as well as, Spike now, Paramount later. He's into MMA. He loves it. He watches all the fights, man. And to have somebody, to work with like that, it's really a special moment in time. And really, it's my job to drive it as hard as I can. And think about the fights we're throwing, man. Fedor versus Mitchell, Rampage versus King Mo. This fight, and then believe me, there's going to be more big fights the rest of the year, and I'm really looking forward to what we can do. But it all goes back to like I said, like what you asked me was the unfinished business part, and that's really. It really drives me, because it has nothing to do with competing against anybody. It really has to do with what I felt I could have accomplished, before, I sold. That's how I feel.
Is there a specific element to that? Is there a specific type of show or a specific type of fight that you felt that you were building towards in Strikeforce, and then it got cut off before you had the chance that you're now looking to build to now in Bellator?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, if you look at the production elements of Strikeforce, it's bigger here now, but it's kind of the same element, the same feel, and but let's be honest, that was really a page taken out my Japanese promotion handbook when I worked for K1. They did it better than anybody. Let's face it. I mean, I walked into the Tokyo Dome one time, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they pay me to come here to help them. This is unbelievable. I think they had 60 or 70,000 people, and I literally walked to the top of that building to see what it looked like, and the ring was like this big, and it was packed. It was just amazing, and I was like, I can't believe this is going on. You know, I mean, the biggest event that I had promoted for kickboxing was in '94. Was Javier Mendez, who was the AKA coach.
Yeah.
So I promoted him at the San Jose Arena in 1994, and I think we had 12,000 people. He fought Mary Piotrowski from Poland, and I think we had 12,000 people there, and that was the biggest. But to walk into a stadium where they played baseball, and then they went on a stadium tour. K1 went on a stadium tour that year, or where they did like the Tokyo Dome, the Fukuoka Dome, the Osaka Dome. It was just like, but there's nothing like it. But anyway, so that's really the playbook, is taking a page from the Japanese production, which I really love. I mean, I always felt like it should be a part of it. When the music starts, the guy's walking down the ramp, and you got all this stuff. I love that stuff. It's entertainment, man, and I think that people really enjoy it.
You were talking earlier about name changes and rebrands. It just reminds me of something that was doing the rounds quite a while back, and that was actually changing the name of Bellator. I quite like the name Spike Force, but was that actually was there any legs to that? Was that actually true, or that?
No, that was the joke. But they had originally talked about changing it to Spike MMA, but it was some trademark issues or whatever that. So we stuck with Bellator, and I told Kevin, I said, this will be fine, because I'm telling you, Kevin, what Bellator means today, 2 years ago, to what it means now, is going to be much different. And what Bellator means today compared to 2 years from now, is going to be much different. So let's just keep doing these fights, keep investing in fighters, investing in our staff, investing in moving this brand forward. And let's face it, they got great platforms to air all this stuff all over the world. So let's just keep pumping it, man, and let's work hard. And he's been behind it, man. He's all about it. So it's nice to have that support from a company that that really loves MMA. So it's been a great relationship.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. Thank you
very much. Appreciate it.
Hey.